Today, we are going to be talking about balance strategies. And what balance strategies are is they are quick and automatic responses that our body does when our center of mass, our body, is disrupted or thrown outside our base of support. The three primary balance strategies that we use are called an ankle strategy, a hip strategy, and a stepping strategy. And in this video, what I'm going to do is talk about the stepping strategy. Why I think that this is where most falls occur is when this stepping strategy fails or when someone cannot quickly and automatically execute this stepping strategy. And of course, I'm going to give you exercises today on how to start working on this to ensure that you have a stepping strategy or that your body has the ability to execute a stepping strategy quickly and automatically when your center of mass, your body, is disrupted or thrown outside your base of support. If you're new to this channel, I'm Tara. I'm a neurologic physical therapist, and on this channel we talk about anything and everything related to mobility, health, fitness, and mindset in the context of neurologic injury, with the end goal of empowering you with as many tools as possible to reach your highest maximum level. And all that being said, let's dive right into the topic of today's video. So first, let's talk about those ankle balance strategies. Ankle balance strategies are basically little movements that our ankles make to bring our center of mass, our body, back within our base of support if we get a little disruption, so a little tap, because they are small muscles, so they can't produce a lot of force. Now, if that tap or that disruption occurs with a little bit more force and our center of mass is disrupted a little bit further outside of our base of support, and those ankle strategies fail to bring our center of gravity back over our base, then we will go quickly and automatically to our hip strategies. So our hips will bend. So basically that will bring our center of mass back over within our base of support and hopefully prevent us from falling. But there are cases where there is an even larger disruption and our center of mass is thrown so far outside of our base of support that our ankle strategy fails, our hip strategy fails, and the final level of defense or layer of defense is what we call a stepping strategy. And that's when you actually step your foot out to the side. So now what you're basically doing is when you can't bring your body back within the base of support, what you're basically doing is you're moving the base of support underneath your new position, your new center of gravity position. And that is our final layer of defense. And in most cases, this is when falls occur. It's because someone cannot quickly and automatically execute a stepping strategy. Now, why might someone not be able to execute a stepping strategy? One is everything's happening so fast and your brain cannot perceive quickly enough where your feet are. And that happens a lot when you are in the process of recovery after any type of brain injury. The other reason is you don't know where your body is, or your brain can't perceive that information fast enough in order to know which direction to step to ensure that that base of support is underneath your center of gravity, or it moves to be under the new position of your center of gravity. And the other reason that I think it fails is because of panic. And I've talked about this in other fall videos that I've done, but I've witnessed enough falls in kind of public places, and I watch people's reaction when this is happening. And a lot of times you do see people's body just stiffen up because you just panic. And when your body's stiff, it's really hard to get anything to move. So if you don't practice a stepping strategy and you're not comfortable getting out of a situation where your body position has been disrupted, then of course you're going to resort to panic, and that also is the potential for a fall because you cannot execute this stepping strategy. So what's the solution? The solution is getting your feet into every position possible and feeling comfortable. So for example, let's give the situation, let's say you fall towards your strong side, right? Your center of mass moves toward your strong side. So in that scenario, all your body weight is now on your strong leg because your center of gravity has been disrupted. Your brain knows that the only option is that you have to step your weak leg over the top of your strong leg, because that'll move your base of support underneath your center of gravity, which is now all the way over on your strong side. But why is this a problem? Most people that have hemiplegia, they never practice getting their weak leg on the other side of their strong leg. So that's number one. That's one exercise that we're going to work on today. I'm going to go through a few scenarios here that I think people fail to work on. So now let's say someone bumps you from your strong side and you're pushed towards your weak side, and now all your body weight is on that weak leg. First, your brain might try and pick up the weak leg and just move it out to the side to kind of move that base of support underneath that center of gravity. But a lot of times that's going to fail because most of your body weight is on that leg, and so it's going to be really hard to pick that leg up, and or you don't have the control in that leg to pick that leg up and move it out to the side. The next strategy that is a possibility is to step your strong leg over your weak leg. But in this case, most people do not practice this. And so there's something in your brain that's going to trigger, that's going to say, do not step that strong leg over onto that side, where your strong leg is now on the other side of your weak leg, right? So that's another scenario where you need that stepping strategy. But if you do not practice that stepping strategy, you will not be able to do that in that quick automatic fashion that we're talking about. Now let's talk about falling backwards. You absolutely need to be able to step backwards with both legs. The main reason is because in most cases, if you have hemiplegia, there's a good chance most of your body weight is going to be on your strong leg. So in that scenario, if someone pushes you backwards, the only option you have if ankle strategy fails and hip strategy fails is to step backwards with your weak leg. What does that mean? That means you have to have good motor control. You have to have good ability in the muscles in that leg to coordinate them to step that weak leg backwards. But there's other things that get involved. In most cases, you do need to be able to bend your knee to make that step backwards quickly. Some of you can't because you have a lot of spasticity in that leg. So if you don't practice stepping backwards and figuring out how to adapt and be able to step that leg backwards even when you can't bend that leg, well, then you need to work on that. So that's another exercise that really needs to be emphasized if you want the best chance of eliminating your risk for falls. Now, the other scenario is you're pushed backwards and you're pushed off towards your strong side. So in this case, ankle strategy fails, hip strategy fails, your only strategy left is to step back with your strong leg. What does that mean? It means you need to be able to shift all of your body weight onto your weak leg. So if you're not comfortable and or you cannot automatically and confidently shift all of your body weight onto your weak leg, there's no way you're going to be able to step that leg backwards, right? So you absolutely need to practice getting to a point where you can automatically shift all your weight onto your weak leg and step that strong leg backwards. Now, this actually came up this week. Someone didn't fall, but they had a kind of a near fall that they were telling me about. And the scenario in this situation is that they did a stepping strategy, meaning they were falling towards their strong side and they quickly stepped their weak leg over and across. But now their legs were crossed and they couldn't maintain their balance because they had never practiced standing with their feet crossed. And then their brain knew that they needed to get those feet uncrossed, but because they had never stood with their feet crossed, I'm kind of speculating this is what happened, but because they've never stood with their feet crossed, they really didn't know how to uncross their feet. Their feet were tangled, they didn't know what to do, and they couldn't get them uncrossed. This person didn't fall, but they had a near fall, and it was scary enough that they told me about it when they came into therapy. But I do believe that if you are not comfortable standing with your feet crossed, there is the chance that you will do a stepping strategy that might result in your feet being crossed, but you still might fall because the very next thing you either need to be able to do is you need to know how to balance with your feet crossed, or you need to be able to quickly step to uncross your feet. But because now they feel like they're all tangled up, you feel stuck or you feel like you're trapped. Now, this does bring up one other point. This happens so often that I really think it's worth bringing up. If you are someone who regularly reaches for items, either you're a furniture walker in your house and you kind of know strategically where all the stable structures are in your house, or you can just recognize that you will quickly resort to grabbing onto something, meaning your ankle strategy fails, hip fails, stepping strategy fails, or maybe you just blow through all of those altogether and your body doesn't try and incorporate or execute any of those lower body strategies, you regularly resort to grabbing onto something, I would definitely practice all of these exercises we're going to go through today without having anything near you that you can grab onto. So the option is to have walls around you so that you still have something to reach for, but not something you could grab onto. But then eventually, once you feel like you're safe enough, really moving into an open space, because that is where most falls happen. Most people will, I've seen it. People grab onto me sometimes, because you're just so used to grabbing onto something. But if that is something that you do regularly, I would definitely, if you know you're safe, if you get comfortable doing this with structures around you that you could hold on to, I would definitely not stop there, and I would move into a large open space where you literally have nothing to catch you. If you are at those higher levels and you are considering going back to playing golf or going back to playing tennis, or you want to go to the park with your grandkids and kind of run around with them in an open park where maybe there's not things to grab onto, then I do think you need to take it to that level. So I hope all of that makes sense. So now I'm going to switch over and I'm going to show you an excerpt from a video that I did on this that is part of our Gold membership program, to give you a little glimpse of kind of what this progression of activities looks like to help improve your ability to execute a stepping strategy quickly and automatically in kind of an uncontrolled environment. So in today's tutorial, what we're going to go over is a progression of activities that anyone can do, and I really strongly recommend that everyone starts doing it day one, is relearning these stepping strategies. So at the very foundation, we need to be able to step our feet in all directions, and that is both feet. So you need to be able to step your weaker leg or your involved leg in all directions, but you also need to be able to quickly and efficiently transfer your weight onto a weak leg so that you can pick up that strong leg and perform a stepping strategy. So that's pretty much what we're going to do for this first exercise. You're going to step to the side and then back to the middle. You're going to step off at a diagonal, back to the middle, step to the front, back to the middle, step off to the what I call 5 o'clock, and back to the middle, and then step off to 6 o'clock and back to the middle. Then you're going to do the same thing with the other leg. So you're going to step forward, back, let's say 2 o'clock, back, 3 o'clock, back, say 4 or 5 o'clock, back, and then 6 o'clock and back. Now, as I mentioned, you also need to be able to step your feet across and then step them back. So what that looks like is you're going to step across the front and back, and then you're going to step the foot behind and back. Again, if you need to hold on initially for support, go ahead and do that, but I do recommend that you go to the easiest exercise in this progression and perform that one, whatever that one is, without holding on. So the second you need to hold on, I would say back down a little bit. Now, the reason for that is that in most cases when you fall, part of that is because you have nothing to grab onto. So you really do want to get to a point where you can practice these without holding on to anything. Now, once you get really good at doing that on a flat surface, you want to try and do that by stepping off of a 2-inch or a 4-inch step. The reason is that in most cases, there is a little bit more force going into it if someone does disrupt your balance. So by stepping down off of something, it kind of simulates that a little bit. So you're going to start standing on a 2-inch or a 4-inch step, and the same progression. You're going to step out to the side and back. You're going to step out to that diagonal and back. You're going to step forward and back. And then let's go to that back corner and back. And then go directly back and back. Next one that you want to work on is you want to be able to step across and back up. Now, You don't want to go any higher than a 2-inch or a 4-inch step, because this is really, really tricky. But if you are higher level, you want to try and be able to step across and back up. It's getting your feet into these kind of twisted positions and being able to get out of that position. And you want to be prepared for anything. Again, for that third reason that I say most falls happen is that someone just panics. You, again, really want you want your body to be prepared. So for those of you that are advanced, again, you're going to go across and back, across and back, stepping down off of that box and crossing that foot across. So now we're getting a little bit more advanced. So this next exercise, we're going to be doing that same thing of stepping off of that step, but this one's adding a little bit more of a challenge because we're standing on a surface, we're standing on a wobble board, which doesn't have a flat surface like the step. And same thing, you're going to step down and then see if you can step back up and level the board out. All right, same thing on the other side. See how it kind of it's throwing you off balance almost, and you want to be able to do that stepping strategy and then be able to step back up and level it out again. So again, down, across, down, and back up. Now remember, there's two components to this. There's being able to shift all your weight to one leg, and then there's also the added component of being able to execute the movement with the leg that you're not standing on. So across and back up. Very similar to that last exercise that we just did with the wobble board, but again, just making it a little bit more challenging. Now we're on something that has a little bit more instability to it. Most of you are familiar with this. This is a Bosu ball. And you're going to get in a corner. I recommend a corner, and you're kind of going to do the same thing. You're going to shift your weight, step down, and then back up. Again, you start in a corner and get really comfortable with this. Again, this is extremely high level, so you really need to know your body before you move on to something like this. And then you're going to step, cross over, and back up. And you want to get to a point where you don't need the walls. Definitely talk to your healthcare professionals before you choose something like this, as there's a lot of room for error and a lot of risk for injury if your body is not ready for it. And then for this last exercise, which is a little bit even more advanced, now we're going to add a resistance band and kind of step off to the side and then back up. Again, we're practicing that stepping strategy, but we're adding some external forces for this one to kind of simulate your body being disrupted by an external force. So then you're just going to step down and then back up and down and back up. And then also for this one, just like we did with the step before, is being able to step across and back up, and across and down and back up. That's really challenging two things. It's being able to load this leg quickly and also being able to execute that crossover step with your other foot and back up, cross it over, and back up. So I hope you guys found that video helpful. Again, if you like that video and you want to see the entire video, or you want access to all of our exercise videos, you can learn more about our Gold program that will give you access to all those exercises in the description to this video. If you have any questions, we also offer monthly lives, and there is a link to sign up for that in the description below, where you can submit your questions in advance and I will answer those during our monthly live session. If you sign up for the live, you also have access to the recording. So if you can't make it to the session, you will still get to hear the answer to your questions. If you want to be able to keep in touch with us throughout the week, head on over to Instagram and follow us over there, where we post videos a couple of times a week. If you're new to this channel and you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell so that you'll get notified every time I upload new videos. I enjoyed spending time with you all today, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good day.